begging the blessings of all the devotees. So, conditioned souls, the greatest defect of the conditioned souls is actually to cheat oneself. And that's why the greatest um, foundation, or the most basic foundation of spiritual life, any kind of spiritual life, is actually simplicity. Simplicity is very, very important. And in order to be simple, that's why it's very important to take shelter of the mode of goodness. So, unless one takes shelter of the mode of goodness, one cannot maintain his simplicity, because the modes of passion and ignorance cloud one's simplicity. Simplicity means that simplicity means that to act from one's own platform of advancement internally. That does not mean that um, we should um, avoid Krishna consciousness. So it does not mean that we should avoid worshipping Radha and Krishna, but all it means is simplicity means to take shelter, to always be in the consciousness that Shri Shri Radha Gopi Jana Vallabh Pitapadpan Gaura Hari Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. So to be in the consciousness that Guru and Krishna, they are the real doers, and we are just an instrument. So that consciousness is the most important consciousness for a devotee. So here again, Prabhupada is saying that one seeing power. So seeing power means the spiritual vision. So just to start off the discussion, the Kumaras, the four Kumaras, when they try to enter the, of course, they are eternally liberated souls, but when they entered the gate of Vaikuntha, when they're trying to enter Vaikuntha, then Jay and Vijay, they stopped them. Because Jay and Vijay saw that they were just young boys. So the mistake which was made by Jay and Vijay here was that they were seeing with material vision. So material vision is what clouds or what stops one's spiritual vision. Spiritual vision means to see always oneself as the servant of the servant of the servant of the devotees of Krishna. And this mood cannot be artificially cultivated, but it can only happen by the blessings of great souls. Like one time, His Holiness Haladar Maharaj said that, how do you know that Guru's mercy is coming? So he said that even after doing a lot of service, even after giving classes, doing service, even after making advancement, if one thinks in his heart that I haven't done anything, I'm not doing anything, then that is the real mercy. That is the real mercy. So my spiritual master, pure devotees say also that when one identifies with his body and bodily relations, then at that moment when he identifies, when he, there's two things. One thing is, of course, a conditioning which is there naturally, but another thing is identification. So identification is a choice. You have a choice to identify, but conditioning has always been there. So is always there. It's like a reflex action. You can't stop conditioning, but the choice to identify is up to us. So that's why Prabhupada said so many times the importance of this Sarva Padi Vinirmuktam Tat Paratena Nirmalam Rishikena Sevanam Bhakti Ruchyate. So this conditioning with the body is not just, of course, the bodily attachment, but everything related to that also. Like being attached to, one's own home, one's own mother tongue, all these things. It's very subtle, but if we cultivate these kind of attachments, like I know some devotees or some persons who are very much attached to India. So they're very much attached to India, and to that extent that they feel like any person from any other race, any other country, they're fallen and they're not worthy of, even speaking to. So this is all conditioning. And this conditioning results in what? This conditioning results in unable, um, disqualifying ourselves to accept the mercy of Krishna. Just like Srila Prabhupada said so many times, Prabhupada told his Western disciples that because you are not from India, because you don't have this, you know, I shouldn't say this, but this family Maya. This family Maya means, this kind of false scripture. Like in India, there are these people who say this false scripture, like, oh, just take care of your family. You take care of family means serving Krishna, serving God. No need, don't engage yourself fully in the service of God. That's not good. Krishna doesn't recommend that. So this kind of false conceptions which are based on concocted scripture. So Prabhupada said that because you Western people were not brainwashed by these kind of sentimental speculative scripture, that's why you're able to dedicate yourself fully to me. Otherwise, in India, Prabhupada said, I asked so many families, can you give one son? Um, what to speak of joining full time, even to be fully dedicated in the temple. So many families, so many grastas, they were so hesitant that no, I can't do. Who will take care of me or whatever? So the point is that we have to be very careful about our attachment. So there are two things about attachment. One thing is to physically cultivate attachment by acting in the capacity, like for example, speaking with our family for hours and hours, putting our faith in them, even though they're not devotees, like we know very well they're not devotees, they're not chanting. I mean, it's one thing to maintain a good relationship with them, in order to, uh, tell them about Krishna or doing our duty. That's a different thing. But then on the other hand, confiding in them, taking them as our only, our main shelter, talking for hours. So this means we are cultivating our attachment to them, and which means we are increasing our bodily identification, and which means what? We will struggle to accept Krishna's instruction, because Krishna's instruction or Prabhupada's instruction is beyond the body. And second thing, which is also very subtle, is cultivating desires for bodily identification. So when we cultivate the desire for bodily identification, like for example, um, my son, my daughter, my family, my country, when you cultivate that exclusively, then that is cultivating these kind of desires, and that will also result in greater bodily identification. So in Krishna consciousness, there's nothing wrong in praying or wishing for one son to be a great devotee, but at the same time we want others also, like we want everyone. Like in Krishna consciousness, uh, our mood is that we want everyone to become great, because in the spiritual world everyone is great. The gopis are great, the gopas are great, even the grass is great, the trees are great, everyone is great, and everyone is the greatest because they are all unique in their ability to give pleasure to Krishna. The grass can give pleasure to Krishna in a way that only the grass can. The cowherd boys can give pleasure to Krishna in the only way that the cowherd boys can. In the same way, everything is the most amazing and everything is unique. That is Vrindavan consciousness, and it's possible in this world also. Like everyone has a unique contributions to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's movement. So everyone has that unique capability and everyone should be encouraged. We should not discriminate against anyone or anything for that matter. So ultimately, this aham mamata, the root cause of all conditional life, it is explained that the root cause of it is this material nature. So one amazing thing about this material nature is that this material nature facilitates both pure devotees and conditioned souls both. It facilitates both of them. So that's very wonderful, because material nature facilitates pure devotees to come closer and closer to Krishna. And material nature also facilitates those who want to go away from Krishna to go away and away, further and further away from Krishna. So it is our constant desire every step. It's a matter of our desire It's a matter of uh, our choice at every step. You know, uh, there's this wonderful purport, um, wonderful verse in Bhagavad Gita. Yam yam vapi smaram bhavam tejadante ante kalevaram tam tam evaititi kauntaya sada tadbhava bhavita. Whatever state of being one remembers when he quits his body, that state he will attain without fail. So we can say whatever depth of consciousness we have at the end of today's sadhana or seva or whatever is what we can expect tomorrow. You know, like Sripada Indra Prabhu said that you can expect to see something in in your sadhya, in your perfection, if you don't see in your sadhana. So it's not a matter of death, it's a matter of every day, every moment. So we have to be very, very careful, very, very careful. Um, with not only how much we do, but how we do. How we do is very, very important. And actually, if we see, I mean, speaking about myself, if you draw a line through all the activities of Krishna consciousness, there is a mood that runs through everything. Krishna knows that mood, and if we pray, we'll also come to know that mood. Um, that mood of how, mechanical or how whatever I am. So that has to be changed. That has to be changed. So when we change that, that is real movement. That is real Krishna consciousness movement, is to change the attitude from going away from Krishna to going towards Krishna. So at every moment, we have to be very, very careful, very, very careful. Like there's the example of Bharat Maharaj is very, very instructive in Bhagavatam, that just a moment's distraction is enough. Right? So that's why we have to always be under supervision of devotees, and we have to constantly hear from them. So when we are under the supervision of devotees and we constantly hear from them, then only we can identify our material desires. Because if we identify our material desires, if we identify our material inclinations, it saves us a lot of trouble, a lot of trouble. And when we observe the mood of pure devotees in Bhagavatam, in Chaitanya Charitamrita, we can see the mood. That's the most important thing. When we see how pure devotees they perform devotional service, because all it really takes to please Krishna is a simple prayer. Patram pushpam phalam toyam yom bhaktya prayachate. So it just takes a simple prayer, it just takes a simple desire. But to make that desire, sometimes we forget. I'm speaking about myself. We forget the reason why we are doing what we're doing. So when we hear, like, whenever possible in the morning before waking up the deities, I hear that, Prabhupada years expressing his deep desire that Krishna will accept his offering. So this is a simple thing. It just takes 30 seconds, doesn't take much time. But that's what is really, really important. Really, really important. So one thing is very good about material nature, and that material nature, everything in material nature has a duality. Everything has a duality. There is happiness, distress, cold, heat, victory has defeat, youth has old age. So if we meditate on the negative aspect, whenever we're experiencing the so-called positive aspect, it helps us to lose faith in the material world. Because we have to, using our intelligence, using our experience, we have to use all means to actually lose our faith, lose our trust, lose our dependence in the material world, in the material nature, in the material shelter. That's very important for us. Unless we forcefully, we try by spiritual knowledge and by association of great souls, unless we try to detach ourselves from taking shelter of this material world, uh, it will be very difficult for us to take shelter of Krishna, especially at the time of difficulty. So, conditioned soul is eager to identify with the body, and he is given a particular body, mind, and senses according to the degree of his envy. So envy is actually the greatest danger in Krishna consciousness. And we should know that if we are if someone is envying, I mean, speaking of myself, I'm envying someone, then I'm not envying that person, but I'm envying Krishna directly. Because Krishna is the source. Aham Sarvasya Prabhavo. Krishna is the spark of the splendor. Krishna's, sorry, yeah, Krishna gives the spark of splendor, or the spark of uh, wealth, strength, fame, beauty, knowledge, renunciation. Krishna gives all these things to everyone. So it's ultimately Krishna's property. So we have to be very careful uh, with this envy, with this false ego, by number one, by not unnecessarily controlling devotees. I mean, speaking for myself, this is very easy to control devotees, because when you're in a position of an authority, position of anything, it's very easy to control them. So what does control mean? Control means that you're unnecessarily trying to uh, uh, micromanage someone. So, of course, exalted devotees and those who are actually, realized souls, they never control, they never have the tendency to control me, because their consciousness is very pure. Like Yogsha Prabhu, his basic Yogsha Prabhu, it's just his consciousness is too high. So he just cannot control. Even if, someone may, think or say, but because the consciousness is so high, everything he does is with a mood to serve. So that's of course a very high consciousness, but until one attains such a high level of consciousness, such a high level of divinity, then one should be very careful to not control devotees, to not unnecessarily take service from devotees, etc., etc. And second thing is also equally important for conditioned souls, like myself, is to always see the devotional quality, genuine spiritual qualities of a devotee. Because according to one's consciousness, one attracts certain kind of thoughts, one attracts certain kind of conceptions. So because my consciousness is material, because I'm a fallen, I'm a, envious, whatever person, so therefore I attract those kind of thoughts in others. It's natural. So what we have to do is that we have to see the genuine spiritual qualities. Like, how often do we stop and think that, oh, this devotee, wow, how amazingly he dressed, how amazingly he sing, he's cleaning the temple floor, how amazingly he's washing the pots. So see how blissful he is in serving Krishna. See how humbly he is doing this service after so many days, so many years. So when we see these qualities, spiritual qualities of devotees, it stops us from seeing the material qualities, from seeing the defects, because materially you can always find defects. What to speak of anything, even if there is no defect, at every moment, the way our senses are perceiving the environment is defective. We have defects because we are not perfect. The material body is not perfect. The material mind is also not perfect. So seeing defects is natural. But Krishna consciousness means to see the genuine good qualities in others, and to fan the spark in others, to fan the inspiration of Krishna consciousness. And in this way, to increase the positive energy, the positive vibration. That's what Srila Prabhupada did. And that's what we have to do. We have to do. You see, like, I've seen, like, when very exalted devotees, like His Grace Yogshoku, I've seen that whenever he may say something, may correct something, before the correction, first of all, you experience the divinity in his voice and how much divine consciousness he is. So that convinces, actually, honestly, that how he's seeing the good, and he's actually a genuine well-wisher of that person. So how to develop that kind of consciousness? Yeah, by serving such people, by serving such exalted devotees, and by sincere sadhana. Sadhana means how much our mind, how much we are uh, trying our best to bring Krishna in our mind. And of course, this includes Krishna's name, Krishna's form, Krishna's qualities, Krishna's pastimes. So, as much as we are trying to bring the mind in contact with these objects, that is what sadhana is. And the more and more we try our best to bring Krishna in contact with our mind through our sadhana, that much our mind will be helpful to us when we come out of our sadhana. So Krishna really sees, Guru really sees how much we are struggling, how much we are really trying to please him by our devotional service. And uh, Dadami buddhyogam tam enam upayantite. So according to how much we are trying to bring Krishna in our mind, to remember Krishna, especially during our sadhana, that much Krishna gives us intelligence when we come out of our sadhana to make the decisions, to make the choices that will help us to progress in devotional service. So, one amazing example in the history of our movement is actually Jayananda Prabhu. So, Jayananda Prabhu was a simple devotee, uh, but because of his amazing service attitude, because of his humility, because of his dedication to Srila Prabhupada, so many wonderful qualities. Because of that, he made such an amazing difference in our movement. Like, of course, he was a temple president, but other than that, Jayananda Prabhu did not have any position in ISKCON. He's not a guru, he's not a sannyasi. So, what this goes to show is that how every one of us has the opportunity to make an amazing difference uh, in the world, regardless of whether we may have a position or not. So, it's just about our deep desire. How much do we have the desire to please Krishna, to serve Krishna, to serve Srila Prabhupada? Like yesterday, I was also saying in the university that we should have this kind of aspiration that we should serve Krishna, we should serve Guru in such a way that Guru should say, I mean, of course, this is not for glorification or whatever, but Guru should really mean that, yeah, this devotee, this disciple is my property. He will do whatever I say. He has no separate desire. I can do whatever I want with him. So, this should be our goal. Because if we can achieve this goal, this is surrender actually. If this surrender happens, then automatically we will experience so much joy in our heart. We'll experience so much joy, so much happiness in our heart. So, it's very, very important for us to have the correct aspiration, to have the correct inspiration. And that's why it's very important for us to always associate with devotees who are more advanced than us. When you associate with devotees who are more advanced, then it's like a mirror. Then we can constantly see our faults, we constantly see our shortcomings. And pure devotees of the Lord, because of that, because of this main thing, pure devotees, exalted devotees, their katha, their sound vibration uh, is our only hope, our only hope. Without coming in contact with that sound vibration, there is no way we can actually become humble. We can become humble. Like I was hearing in one lecture that to desire anything uh, different from the desire of Krishna is actually lust, is actually uh, sense gratification. So just see the level of that statement. I mean, there's nothing higher than that. So when we come across such a statement made by a pure devotee, then we can clearly understand that how much we are making fault, how much we are failing that principle, and then we become humble, become humble. And one more thing about this material nature. I'm sorry, my discussion is going here and there, but one more thing about Maya and pure devotees, both of them. So actually, in one sense, uh, both of them do one thing. Maya and pure devotees do one common thing, and what is that? They point us, they signal us whenever there is some danger area. Whenever there is some area of danger, there is some area of failure, somewhere we have a weakness, Maya and pure devotees both point it out. And in that way, Maya is actually our friend. If we take Maya very seriously, if we take Maya very sincerely, that Maya is showing that this is where your weakness is, then we won't go in that area. We'll be very careful. And if we have to go in that area for some service, then we'll take blessings. We'll be very, very careful. Like one wonderful example is same as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he saw Sanatan Goswami after Sanatan Goswami surrendered fully. I mean, Sanatan Goswami is an eternal associate, but in this past times when he surrendered to Mahaprabhu, Mahaprabhu saw him wearing an expensive quilt, expensive chadar. And Mahaprabhu just glanced at him, and immediately Sanatan Goswami understood that Mahaprabhu is not pleased. And he went and exchanged that chadar with a poor person, with a ragged old chadar. Mahaprabhu immediately was very, very pleased. So this is the example of how us, if we are very sincere and serious, whenever we see there is some slight displeasure in Guru, slight displeasure in Krishna, something is wrong, immediately we can sense it, immediately we can correct it. And another very wonderful example is Madhavendra Puri. Madhavendra Puri, immediately after he got the mercy of Gopinath, Gopinath stole Kheer, everything, immediately Madhavendra Puri sensed that there is a chance that people may start glorifying me. There's a, I mean, he's a pure devotee, but he just sensed that. And what he did, he immediately left that area, and he went. So this is two examples of how when someone is very careful, very sincere, then he gets Krishna's mercy. He gets Krishna's mercy. So ultimate goal of devotional service, why do we want to come out of Maya? Why do we want to become pure devotee? Why? Because that's what Krishna wants. That's what Guru really wants. So the more and more we meditate on the goal of devotional service. And what is the goal of devotional service? The other day we were reading Srimad Bhagavatam. The goal of devotional service is in the third verse of the first canto, the first purport of Srimad Bhagavatam. The goal of devotional service is, the Lord declares that by enlightenment in theistic knowledge, he awards attachment for him to those who constantly engage in his transcendental loving service. This awakening of divine consciousness enthralls a devotee who thus relishes his eternal transcendental mellow. So this is the goal. The goal of devotional service is to awaken this divine consciousness, to awaken our relationship with Krishna. And there is nothing which can give us more happiness than this divine consciousness. Nothing can give us more happiness than relishing our eternal transcendental mellow with Krishna. This is the goal of devotional service. So keeping this goal in our mind, we have to constantly engage in devotional service. And one great benefit of keeping this kind of goal in devotional service is that by keeping such a goal in devotional service, Krishna gives us experience of this goal, even very slight experience, even a moment. Krishna gives us some experience. And that experience, because it's a pure experience, because starting with the point, this is a pure desire. Praying for this is pure because we are eternally servants of Krishna. So praying to Krishna to revive this eternal relationship is a pure prayer, is a pure desire. So when we pray purely, Krishna will definitely reciprocate without a doubt. And because it's pure, even 1/10 or 1/100th of the satisfaction of that pure desire will give us joy, will give us satisfaction, will give us so many things in Krishna consciousness. So that is the way that we can give up this desire to lord over, because His Holiness Gaur Govind Maharaj says that without love, there is no surrender. So which means what? Which means full surrender will only be manifest when we develop our love for Krishna fully. So what we have to do is, what I have to do is, at every moment, by praying, by associating with pure devotees, then slowly and slowly and slowly, uh, our love for Krishna will increase. Uh, little bit, little bit, little bit, little bit. As we increase our attachment, our love for Krishna, our sacrifice for Krishna, then slowly we can surrender more and more and more. So this is the goal of devotional service. So, sorry if I spoke anything wrong or inappropriate. Anyone has any question or comment?
How to become free from body consciousness? Well, body consciousness is actually everything is ruined. How to make sure we come out of it slowly? Steadily.
By taking your association.
Now, so how to awaken the divine consciousness? Goal of the
No need to be.
Yeah, I'm not qualified, but by associating with those who have divine consciousness. I mean, like hearing the pure sound vibrations of pure devotees again and again and again. Like, if we can become addicted to that, then pure devotees will give us the intelligence of what we need to do to awaken. Because awakening divine consciousness is not possible by ourselves, it's possible by Krishna only. But when we constantly endeavor in a way that is pleasing to Krishna, then that's Krishna's reciprocation towards us.
As Prabhuji, they can have a guitar.
Yes.
He made a point today, Maya makes it more mistake. It's a very nice point. In the initial stages, you think it's Maya, but Maya is really your consciousness is very good. Suddenly it shows your weakness in lusts and greeds and envy. It means Maya is telling you are not the devotee, you still have. So it means these are the obstacles for our obstacles to take divine consciousness. So what we do is if you pray to get rid of them rather than encourage them. Otherwise, what happens? Three things are needed. One is acquire Sambandha. Sambandha means first thing I'm not a body of the spirit soul. Second thing is that body of Krishna. All the family members I have, they are given by Krishna. If I cannot spiritualize my relationship, recreate body. For sure. One is Sambandha, second is good sadhana. The 11th canto of Krishna Dasu intense service to Guru and then if you can personalize the relationship, our why we get stuck in the middle because of the attachments. If we can spiritualize the attachments, as soon as Maya tells you in the mind, then I should do that. Otherwise, it becomes obstruction. Radhan sir mentioned in Germany, he was playing this harmonica for years. But one day he was in Rishikesh, but his mind was demanding harmonica. I want that, I want that, I want that. Here I am, in a very divine environment. But you have to demand this? Definitely I'll give you no problem. So what he did, he went to his cave, he brought the harmonica, and he played them. That's it. So my friend, he helped me so many days. He shared so many, he calls harmonica his friend. But today I'm expecting my confidence. So voluntarily suddenly came when I started doing. My point is, whichever is an obstruction, if we cannot spiritualize them, we cannot detach. It's not easily detached. If we cannot detach, then we should spiritualize. Spiritualize means see Krishna. And not really know. That is my two sense. What Shyam should do. That's our Aisha we are asking.
And Prabhuji, as Prabhuji, they, because manufacturing, Krishna manufacturing like that, Prabhuji don't have that much emotion. And as Mataji have so many emotions, and with the kids, like, because that is blood relation, they will have attachment. So how can we, because that kids came from us, so that's why that blood relation, that attachment will be there. How to overcome that?
Yeah, not qualified to answer this question, but but pure devotional intelligence, pure devotional association is very, very purifying. So, if we have a desire for our son, our daughter to become pure devotee, that's the first step, sincere desire. And then the next step is uh, to educate them in pure devotional service. So, like I said, there's nothing wrong having attachment to our son or daughters, no problem. But then the thing is that, like, um, my son should become a pure devotee. That's very good. But we should also think everyone should become pure devotee. So, I mean, from the point of view of attachment, that's one thing. And the other thing is, yeah, there's no problem having attachment, but Krishna conscious attachment, that I want him to become a pure devotee. Like Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada's father, you see in Prabhupada's writing in his Lilamrita, how Prabhupada's father loved him so much. If Prabhupada wanted anything, even at night, he wanted kachoris, Prabhupada's father will tell us, he would make kachoris immediately. And Prabhupada will tell his father that I don't want to go to school. The Prabhupada, no problem. And he will play Mridanga whole day. But one thing he said about his father, he said, my father is a pure devotee. My father had only one desire, that I should become great servant of Radharani. And anyone who would come to his home, he would only ask this thing, please bless me that my son become great servant of Radha. So as long as you have that one point of attachment, then there is no problem. But I mean, the main problem starts, I'm not speaking about you, but generally, people see material qualifications and people, see from that perspective, then it becomes a cause of bondage. Oh, my son should be, like whatever CEO, CTO, should have so many cars. I mean, not speaking about you, but generally people. So when you have these kind of desires, that causes bondage. But when you have these kind of desires, no problem. Like same thing, when you're preaching also, when you preach to people, yeah, we are concerned about them. Like we want them, there is some, can say, because not pure, there is some attachment. Like they should become devotees, they should chant the holy name, they should get initiated. So there is an attachment, definitely. Right? There's a relationship. But then the relationship is like Krishna conscious relationship, attachment. So yeah, as long as you have that deep desire, and I've seen like mother's desire is very powerful. Like one, I'll not say the name, but one in our congregation only, one mother, her son, he was not chanting, and we tried talking to him initially, and then he started just giving prasad. That's it. He didn't like the classes. He said, "I don't know." But then after some time, now he is chanting 16 rounds. So it's very powerful. I've seen again and again. It's very powerful. The mother is a very good devotee, I mean, very exalted devotee, serious devotee. It rubs off on the children like anything. And you may not see it now, but later you see it. Very powerful. Sorry, Fauzi, you would like to add anything?
And the question is, if you cannot detach, especially families, we cannot, so we should question the devotion. She did a great thing, she got her
Yes.
and age of 15. So she was a role model for so many people. She had a So then what happens? Son is one way achieved, Godfather is another way. The same thing, but higher. Husband is one way achieved, spiritual husband is another way. So, like, as long as you are able to Krishnize our attachments, that's. So, Prabhupada, Father in the Protocol, we asked Prabhupada asked to start. Do you have any design? So, that's it. You cannot do anything artificial. Sun comes in and goes, that's actually artificial. So yes, actually now mothers play parents do essentially. Mothers don't just get to- The son becomes a devotee because of the parents.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I said the word mother, but it's both. Sorry, Prabhuji, I didn't mean to. Sorry, please. Just slip of tongue. I didn't mean. I didn't indicate anything there. That's why I quoted Prabhupada's father. So, anyone has any question or comment online?
I just Prabhuji, Dandavarpanam Prabhuji. Prabhuji, if you don't mind, give me one example that you mentioned, right? Maya and the pure devotees are dear friend. They will point out your, the way of mistake. You are doing any mistake. Could you please give me one example for Maya's pointing out so we can understand? So I can understand. Thank you.
Yeah. So basically, one Mataji, she, I mean, her chanting was not good. So she was speaking with her parents for long hours every day. I just asked one question. I asked her that are the thoughts of the talks with your mother and father, are they coming in your japa? I mean, coming once or twice is okay, but are they coming repeatedly? She said yes. So I said, yeah, that means it's not good for your chanting. It means you should cut it down. So that's one small example. Like anything, if it comes in japa, it distracts us from our devotional service. That means it's Maya. It's simple. I mean, in our devotional service, in our anything, we're trying to think of Krishna and that thing is coming, which means that it's Maya. And Maya is, I mean, speak for myself also, many times what we do, until really it comes and disturbs and distracts, we don't give it up. But initially Maya gives like one, two things. It's like very subtle, very, very subtle. But if Krishna's mercy is there at that very subtle stage, you can detect it. Yeah, this is the seed of this is a lot of suffering. So if I don't give it up now, then it's going to cause a lot of suffering for me. So yeah, I mean, uh, and generally this attacks of Maya come where there is no seva. Where there is no seva, this attacks come. So yeah, we have to be very, very vigilant, very, very vigilant. And also the thing is that we have to constantly upgrade our understanding of purity. What is purity? What is advancement? So my understanding of purity today and my understanding of purity tomorrow, unless I constantly increase it, I will fall prey to my own attachments. And Vishnu Chakri Thakur says that this is actually the symptom of Anishtita Bhakti, that in the attempt to give up objects which are detrimental to bhakti, we end up enjoying the same objects. So yeah, that's what I say. And sorry for quoting that, but yeah, me myself also. Yeah, when I see something is coming in japa, anything, whatever it may be, then yeah, I can understand that. Yeah, it's detrimental.
Sure, Prabhuji. Thank you, Prabhuji. And Dandavarpanam.
And actually, one more thing also I want to add, that when Maya points a weakness, and if we actually honestly in front of Krishna, we admit that weakness, we admit that, yeah, I have this weakness. Then by taking shelter of Krishna in that situation, you get a lot of mercy and a lot of depth that otherwise you would not have gotten. So like, this is one amazing thing in Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita, is about admitting the reality. So Arjun admitted the reality that I am struggling, I cannot do this. He admitted the reality. That's why he got help. So spiritual life is about real happiness, real enjoyment, and that comes by admitting the reality. And material happiness comes by false enjoyment, by living in a false idea. Like thinking I'm a pure devotee. So that's a false idea. You won't get happiness by that. But if you admit your fault, you admit your before Guru, before Krishna, you admit your fault, and you act from that platform of consciousness, then you get a lot of mercy. And of course, you are all more exalted than me. I'm not qualified to speak in front of you, but I'm just repeating what I heard. Okay. Nobody has any other question or comment?
No comments, but we just wanted to say thank you very much for wonderful class.
Sorry, repeat again, Prabhu.
Unless we have the meditation on our sadhya during our sadhana.
No, that was not exactly what I quoted, Prabhu. What I said is, if you don't see something in your sadhana, you won't see it in your sadhya. So that does not mean we have to artificially meditate. But the point I was trying to make is that consciousness, like depth in holy name, depth in anything, it doesn't happen overnight. So it happens moment to moment, day to day. So that was the point I was making. So that way, we should have full faith that whatever I'm doing now, whatever I'm doing this moment, has a wonderful or has a opportunity to make a difference to my sadhana, to my mind, to my meditation today, tomorrow. So the point I was making is we should not be neglectful in anything. So you should not think that, oh, this time counts, this time doesn't count. That's all. Like whatever we do every day, every moment counts. So speaking for myself, many times we think, okay, chanting is very important. Morning program is very important. But rest of the day, what I do, I may be doing devotional activity, but what I think is not so important. That's okay. I can be loose. I can be. So we have to, at every moment, we have to constantly work on our mind, work on how much our mind is thinking of Krishna. Like I said, when you're doing seva, you cannot just sit and think of Krishna. But still, when you're doing seva, uh, what is the mood? If the mood is 100%, I'm doing it for Krishna, you're completely absorbed, like whatever, that's good. But then you're doing cutting vegetables, and at the same time, your mind is going somewhere. I did this, I did that. So that's not good. So what I'm saying is that uh, we should make arrangements so that we can always engage. At least we're trying. Mind may go, but we're trying our best to engage the mind in Krishna. Yes, sir. Okay, please forgive me. Spoke anything wrong, inappropriate. Mancha kalpatarubhyascha. Kripa sindhu bheva paritanam pavanebhyo vaishnava. Ananta koti vaishnava manji ki jai Srila Prabhupada.
Thank you very much, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam.
Thank you, Prabhuji.